Hello, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, so am I. I'm really just here to talk about my experiences with all things health and wellness because I do work in the health and wellness industry, and as someone who has struggled with different mental health issues, I've also tried a couple of different things. Today, I'm just going to be sharing my reflection on the AbleTo program. This is an 8-week program where a participant is matched with a licensed therapist and a behavioral coach to help meet certain short-term goals, whatever that may be related to mental health, career, personal life, all of that. So I participated in this program earlier this year. It was completely free through my insurance, which is a big reason why I participated in it. I found out because someone from my insurance called me, letting me know that this was a new program available. And one of the appeals for me was that it was very flexible. As someone whose schedule changes week to week, I found it very attractive that the program offered big variety of coaches and therapists to choose from that had different kinds of availability. So earlier this year, I was really struggling with organization. Actually, I was struggling with a lot of things. Honestly, I was just at a point where I was struggling to find meaningful things to fill my day with, and just like not quite where I wanted to be, like in any particular area of my life. And so I kind of just had this like fuck it attitude and like dropped everything and let go of like any organizational systems I had in place. I didn't really have a routine. And I also around that time wasn't working too many hours. So I spent a lot of days kind of just bedridden indoors, and really just didn't feel that motivation to get up and do anything. I felt like I needed help. So when I got the call, it felt like the service had just been handed to me, and I figured why not? Like what's the worst that can happen? Figured I didn't have anything to lose, so I went ahead and set up my first appointment. One of the things I was struggling with, like I said, motivation, organization, routines, depression, anxiety, you name it. So I was struggling with all of that. I brought it to my therapist, and after our first session, she assigned me a program. They're what they're called, which means that for the 8 weeks, you adhere to certain goals, and also that kind of determines, I believe, the worksheets that you get. So on their online platform, you can look through all of your activities every week. There are handouts you can read through which help break down a couple different definitions for things you might be struggling with. There was one I remember that was helpful on positive or constructive and negative thinking habits. Those were on separate weeks, but that really helped me like name the kinds of thinking patterns that I was stuck in, and also there were worksheets paired with it that helped me work through not only naming the experiences that I was having, but then also how to reframe in like a more positive light, or how to like shift the energy so that I wasn't just like stuck in that cycle. So I did find that helpful. For me, it was a big plus that they were really flexible. Again, for the most part, I kept the same time for both the coach and the therapist every week, but there were a couple times where I needed to switch it, either because I was out of town traveling or because my work schedule changed a little bit. So I was definitely able to communicate that with them during our sessions, and I didn't really have any issues with that, so appreciate that. I wanted to share my reflection on this program just because I know there are a lot of different things out there to help with mental health, and I've tried a lot of them. I've tried a lot of different kinds of talk therapies. Like I've tried BetterHelp, I've tried like local mental health clinics, and also been assigned therapists through insurances in different states for different things I needed help with at the time. And this particular program, I would say, had a pretty good impact. So while obviously there's only so much you can get done within 8 weeks, but for me, what helped the most was being able to have consistency in my schedule, and accountability. So knowing that I not only set those goals in the beginning, but I knew that I was going to have someone follow up with me on those goals. So it gave me like an external pressure, which in my case was necessary, to follow up with the goals. So my goals started off really small again because I was really struggling with just getting out of the house and finding something enjoyable to do. I started there. So one of my goals was to socialize twice a week, and that could look like a one-on-one kind of hangout with friends, a group hangout, or even like going with friends to some kind of event. So I made sure to start scheduling that regularly, and I even communicated to my friends that this was a goal that I was working on, and they were happy to kind of meet me there, right, and kind of encourage me. So yeah, I've worked with a lot of different therapists. I've even tried psychedelic therapy. And I think for me in particular, this program was helpful during a time where I was having trouble with basic executive functioning and not being able to do like very simple small things. And I think for me, I purposefully set like very small goals so that I wouldn't have the pressure of failure. It was enough of like a challenge, like truly it was a challenge to at least those first couple of weeks to schedule two different socializing events or meetings, and being able to do that for 8 weeks consistently and then be able to look back on that just helped me build up the confidence to know that I could either build on that or do more. And my favorite thing was that during this experience, in opening up with my therapist and coach, I feel like I was able to be more honest with the people around me, with my friends and family, about how I was doing. And in turn, what that did is that people started kind of meeting me where I was at and encouraging me to meet those goals, literally walking with me. My second goal was to walk twice a week, one around the neighborhood and one somewhere a little bit farther. So I would schedule these like hot girl walks with my friends Liz and Cassie. And after scheduling a couple of those, we kind of like took a next step, and it ended up evolving into us exploring different workout classes together, which is really cool because I think we're all in a spot in like our adulthood where we're still figuring out what our hobbies are. So doing these hot girl walks like not only helped me meet my goals that I had set, but it also helped us get a little bit closer and like meet, I don't know, I think it helped all of us collectively. So definitely grateful for that part of the experience. And then lastly, I will say that participating in the program, like having the worksheets and the checkups and knowing that like I had certain questions coming during every session, pushed me to have a little bit more of a regular type of check-in with myself. So for the duration of the program, I would mostly check in with myself on like Sundays or Mondays and just kind of review whether I had met my goals that week, reflect on any other challenges that I had wanted to bring up. And then also even practicing like starting to reintegrate journaling into my routine a little bit, because I realized that that helped me better articulate again to the therapist and the coach what I was struggling with, but also just to make sense of my thoughts. So by the end of the 8 week program, like I said, I felt like I was able to feel good about accomplishing my small goals, and then being able to look forward to build on them. So definitely being a lot more active and consistent with going to the gym and going on my walks, getting my steps in this month. Still feel like I have a lot to improve on, but participating in the program kind of gave me that kickstart. The therapist and the coach themselves, I thought were a good match for me overall. Honestly, I feel like if I had been in the program longer, I would have considered maybe switching my therapist, just because I'm very critical with my therapists, and I feel like there might have been someone out there who could have been a better match. But overall, some of the highlights from both the therapist and the coach were that they were very compassionate with me. Another thing I was struggling with since the beginning was this concept of perfectionism and being too hard on myself for literally anything. So I found it challenging. I think that's something that was getting in my way of like meeting small goals, is that if I wouldn't excel necessarily or do like 110%, then I would beat myself up and like just kind of tear down like any little step that I did take. And so my coach and therapist were both very aware of that, because I let them know early on. And so whenever that would come up in my conversations with them, they were good about pointing it out and then helping me redirect the thought into something that was more positive and constructive. Also, I did want to say that I really enjoyed the platform itself. So AbleTo has a website where they have exercises, breath work, mood tracking, and the actual worksheets. And this is also where you access the links to the video calls. But it's very user friendly. I didn't really need anyone to help me navigate that. And I appreciate that, because, again, sometimes that can be a barrier. It can be very difficult to navigate and like keep track of all the things that you're being given. So it was nice that it had it all together on one platform. And even after completing my program, I do still have access to that. I would recommend this program to anyone who, one, has it available. Like if your insurance covers it, I would ask the same question that I asked myself: why not? Like, what do you have to lose? And the other thing with any therapy you participate in is that you get out of it whatever you put in. So I feel like, for example, like I probably could have pushed myself a little more, and like I don't know, maybe done a little bit more like throughout those 8 weeks I was in the program. So with any therapy that you do, it's important. Like the therapist and the coach themselves, I think, aren't really there to solve your problems, and that's something really hard. Like when you're in a very depressive state, because you just wish that someone could pull you out of it and could give you like say something that'll just like connect and resonate. But that wasn't always the case. Like my therapist was really sweet, and there were some times, especially in the beginning, where she would give me affirmations for myself and say like have me repeat to myself that I am strong, I am smart, like I don't know. She would come up with these really nice, like more complex affirmations than that. And so I would repeat them to myself, and then she would ask, how did that feel? And I would be honest with her and say, that didn't connect with me. Like I didn't feel anything. And like it sounds really nice, but it didn't mean anything to me in this moment. So I was able to be honest with her about that, and like we still continued practicing it. So by the like 6th week maybe, I was coming up with a couple of my own affirmations. And even now, like I'm not doing affirmations every single day, but I do feel like sometimes it'll come up, like I'll feel it in my heart, and I'll just take advantage and like say it, repeat it, hold on to that. So I feel like I'm just a little bit more open to receiving that affirmation from myself and from other people, even though I'm not doing it every day. So it's not perfect. There's no such thing as like a perfect therapy program as far as I've experienced. But yeah, this one was really great in just getting support for short-term goals, and I would recommend it. So post-program, like I mentioned, I feel like I have a bit of a better hold, and I feel more confident in my ability to show up for myself, complete my goals, and continue to reevaluate them. And I feel like right now, like as the month of September has just ended, like I think it's about time for me to like reevaluate those goals, especially looking at kind of like the last season of the year, October through December. I do have a couple things that I want to pivot my attention to, but now I feel more capable of doing that. Whereas like 6 months ago, I was just like fuck setting goals, what's that gonna do for me? So a couple other areas where I'm still getting support is I do still have an individual therapist. I did also start seeing a family therapist, so that's four of us in my family in the household, attending bi-weekly sessions together, so that's new. And then I am also seeing a dietitian bi-weekly, so checking in with someone to get help with eating balanced meals. That has just been a struggle for me and like my personal, like, I don't want to say maybe trauma response, but yeah, I think for me, like, I don't always have the motivation to eat, which for most of my life I never struggled with, but now I do. And I decided that was a battle I didn't want to fight by myself, or I don't know. I feel like I tried a lot of different things. So again, meeting with a dietitian has been another way that I've been specifically able to target the goals that I have around food. So yeah, like the work still continues. I just wanted to take a moment to just reflect on that particular experience before moving on to the present. But yeah, let me know if you have any questions. How's it going with your therapist? Is there anything you'd like to see change in the program or the help that you're receiving? That's all I've got. So be well, take care, be kind to yourself. I know that's easier said than done, but see you next time.